Hello once again to all of you sick little Sallys out there. We are back at it again for another episode of the Fantasy Simpletons, a fantasy football show. I'm your host, Kyle Fridland. Joining me, as always, is my brother and co-host, Jake Fridland.
What
up?
How's it going?
It's going pretty good. It's about that time, Jake.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
doing one of our favorite type of videos.
Woo! The best.
It's always exciting to do some sleepers.
Mhm.
And I know some sleeper videos have come out during the off season. You see a lot of that during the off season.
Yeah.
But now we're actually in it. We have a couple weeks of data to go off of. And things change throughout the season. There are constantly movements and little developments here and there. And it's our job to find those guys before they happen and tell you about it.
Yes. And we love these guys. Like we either
Absolutely.
have these guys on our teams, or we're trying to get them on our teams. So definitely guys to look out for. Some in regular redraft leagues, and then we have some deeper options as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So sit back, put on your seatbelt, get strapped in. We're about to get started here.
1990. Spaghetti. Ravioli. Mamma mia.
It never gets old for me.
Yeah.
All right. So the first guy we're going to talk about here is a wide receiver coming out of the Denver Broncos. We've got Troy Franklin. Now, the Broncos offense has always been a particularly interesting offense, a lot of different moving pieces to follow. But it looks like from the last couple of weeks, we might be seeing an emergence of Troy Franklin as a new top option in this offense.
Yeah. 100% agree. I mean, you could just see it with his with the kind of production he's getting, right? I think this his year 2 has really been showing that he's had some good time to get that connection back with Bo Nix, and with Cortland and Marvin Mims being the top options. He's kind of slid in there as the the guy that no one seems to be covering. I like his routes, and he just had a lot of targets. He's coming off of this last game, 8 catches on 9 targets. So I mean that for the number 3 option on the team, it's kind of looking like he's actually sliding into being the number 2 option. And Marvin Mims is his production's not looking as good as Troy Franklin's. So
yeah, that's the interesting thing here. Because we say he's the number 3 option, but there might be a chance that there's a slight changing in the guard. One of the things I looked into on the statistics of him, because I followed this a lot last season, how many snaps is he on the field? What is like the percentage of time that these wide receivers are out there? Because a lot of time last year, most of these options not named Courtland Sutton were anywhere from they were out there 30% of the time to 50 to 60%. In that last game in week 2 against the Colts, he was on the field 83% of the time. He is a consistent part of the offense now. I think Sean Payton knew it because he talked about him during the offseason of this is a guy who's really putting it together. And for anybody that hasn't been keeping up with history, when he was drafted last year, who was his quarterback when he was at Oregon? Who was his top guy? Bo Nix.
Exactly.
Maybe it just took a year for these two to find that connection again, but it looks like we're in the middle of that emergence right now. He might be rostered at 2% on ESPN leagues right now, somewhere between 70 to 80 on Sleeper, but that's going to change real soon. I think he's going to be not just a sleeper, but a good waiver wire target for this week as well.
Yeah. Most definitely. Most definitely. And I mean, like I was saying, Cortland's gonna take most of the coverage, right?
Yeah.
The defenders are going after Cortland. You saw it last game. you know, against Indianapolis, he was locked down. I think he got one or two catches the whole game. Just not what you want to see. But yeah, just the fact that Bo Nix and Troy Franklin have that connection, eerily similar to Joe Burrow and
You
Jamar
think
Chase. Might I
Jamar
add.
Chase? Ooh, I mean that's
Insane.
hey, we'll talk about the Bengals in a little bit, but hey, that's some high praise to throw out there. Maybe closer to like T. Higgins.
It is, but I mean,
Yeah,
in college, Bo Nix and
that's
Troy Franklin were a dynamite duo. So,
yeah.
um, yeah, I think it's just something to watch. But I'm trying to pick him up in leagues because with the production he's getting, it could could stay the same. I don't see it dropping too far from what it is now, and it's pretty high right now. Has been the last couple games. Um, so we'll see. But with a slinger like Bo Nix, you just gotta have hope for his wide receivers. So
You do got to have hope somewhere. I think he's going to be a good get.
yeah.
We can move on here. Here's a running back that I think we have as a sleeper right now. This guy ain't going to be a sleeper for long. I think as soon as this week, he's going to emerge real easily here. Bhayshul Tuten.
Hmm.
I think this more came out through the news of Tank Bigsby. The fact that he was getting traded to the Eagles now opened up a lot of positions, not just for Travis Etienne, but for
Mhm.
Tuten as well. He's now emerged as the RB2, and he got some work in the last game. Not
Yeah,
just some carries, but some good catches as well.
he really did. Yeah, he rushed for 8 times for 42 yards, and and he got a touchdown. Couple passes in there as well. So I think that yeah, it's just I mean, it's a world of improvement from his first game. He
Yeah,
didn't do anything his first game. So the fact that Tank Bigsby did get traded is huge for him. I mean, his stock has risen so much, and uh, you know, I think he looked a little bit better than Travis Etienne this last game. What do you think?
that's see. I didn't look at it close enough to see exactly like who was better per play,
Hmm.
but I did see the production and how good his specific plays were. So I
Yeah.
think people long term might want to look at him and see a guy that might overtake ETN in some percentage of carries in the backfield if an injury to ETN impacts things.
Hmm.
Because people were super high on him coming out of the combine because he tested super well. He had what under 4.3 40-yard dash speed.
Yeah, his speed is what you know makes him a high value asset for sure.
I think it's going to be interesting to see. It could be two possible scenarios. This could either be an emergence of something new for him, or it could be more of a 1-2 punch with like Brees Hall and Braylon Allen was last season when Braylon Allen came out.
Hmm. Yeah,
So
yeah,
I think it's just gonna have to wait and see.
yeah. But either way, you know, these are the type of guys you want to get just in case. Um, we're talking about you know higher level handcuffs that you could get off the waiver wire. Um, in some cases, and it's just a cheap, you know, trade, at least right now, right?
Yeah,
With how high people are on Travis Etienne, the first week, he did really well. So yeah, just an interesting option to watch, I guess. Maybe make some moves for.
I think we're just gonna have to wait and see on this one. But I'm excited. I think the hype can be very real. I saw
Yeah.
some to play on the last one, so we're just gonna have to wait and see.
Yep.
But he's not the only running back option we have here on our sleepers. We can go quickly over to Kyle Monangai or Monangai. I listened to a pronunciation of his name before we got in here, and
Yeah.
I could not tell you what that like I listened to an actual pronunciation, and I still have no idea what it is.
I know. Yeah. I wonder where that name comes from. It's kind of interesting. I haven't really thought much about it, but yeah, it's a tough one to pronounce for sure.
Origins unknown. But right now, so he was drafted as a rookie. He was a 7th-round pick in this last year's draft. He was supposed to be the number 3 behind DeAndre Swift and Roschon Johnson.
Yeah.
Roschon Johnson's been out a couple weeks, so he's been getting some work. He didn't really do anything in the first game, but in this second game against the Lions, yes, I know it was garbage time. Yes, I know the circumstances were different, but he did have 7 carries. He had 7 carries for 28 yards, and crucially, Roschon Johnson was active. They could have played Roschon Johnson, but they chose not to. I think that's an interesting little scenario and a good setup for
Yeah.
his future.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, just the fact that he's 3rd on the depth chart for running backs and he's getting looks, he's getting put in the game, right? I mean, 7 carries is nothing, to laugh at. That's a lot
Yeah,
for a guy in his position. So I think it definitely shows that they're trying to see what they have in him, and if he keeps it up, then you never know what kind of moves they may make in the future with DeAndre or um, Roshan. It's just an interesting. It's interesting that they're using him at such a high volume and so early on. So that alone is something that should intrigue people to go out there and just take a chance on him if you have an open spot on your bench.
yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, it's definitely for right now. I'd say more keep tabs on him. If you're in a deeper
Mhm.
league, yeah, go right ahead and get him. Sleeper, absolutely. I have him in a couple dynasty leagues of my own.
Yeah, dynasty for sure.
Dynasty for sure, but I think it all depends. I will say the one thing that I do think makes me super high on him is the fact that Ben Johnson is super high on him. He was
Mm.
talking about him before the season started. He's like, watch out for this guy. He trusts this guy. He invests in this guy. And DeAndre Swift, he might be there right now, but DeAndre Swift came along with the Bears. He's
Yeah.
not a Ben Johnson guy. Ben
Mhm.
Johnson did work with him with the Lions, but guess what? He also got rid of him when he was with the Lions.
Right.
So I think it's only a matter of time, if not this season, then maybe next season, that with Ben Johnson in charge, he's going to try to look for his guys for that
Mm.
ground game.
Yeah, I could totally see that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And we
Very in
get
style.
and we can get through this right now. Hey, this is no laughing matter. This is
Oh, my
sleepers we're
bad.
talking about.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. You're
Show
right.
some respect.
Dude, you're right. You're right. My bad. My bad.
Put on a suit.
All
Because
right.
we're going to show a guy right now that deserves your attention, deserves
Mhm.
your respect.
Dang.
Issac Teslaa. The good
Mhm.
old Teslaa. Now, I campaigned hard to put him on the sleeper list. He is every single game that you watch him play, from preseason until now, every catch is a highlight catch. Every
Mhm.
play is a big play. This guy doesn't do, I have yet to see this guy just do a catch and just get it over with, like a 5-yard slant and just
Yeah.
go down. He wants the ball in his hands. He wants to make magic happen, and he has pretty much every time he's gotten the ball.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a big playmaker. And you know, granted he only has 2 catches on the season. Um in preseason he obviously did a lot, because they teams test out their rookies, see how they do. So he really showed off there. Uh, but yeah, he's only had 2 targets this season, both balls caught and both, for pretty long yardage, right? I think one catch this last game was like a 32 yarder.
It was around that length, but I remember, dude, that freaking the classic one-handed grab of just like
Yeah.
the other hand is behind you, the defender. There was a
Mhm.
shot that they had of that when they panned over to a cheerleader whose face was like this
Yeah.
is he's got that it factor.
Yeah, and there's a reason why, you know, they did so much to get him in the draft, right?
Yeah.
Like they went for him early and they traded up to get him.
And they gave
The
away picks
Lions.
for next year for him.
Yeah, and you know, yeah, I think he's just got that prototype build that wide receivers, you know, the ex wide receivers look like and have, and those guys do so well in the NFL, like Nico Collins type guys, huge guys that just can catch anything you throw at them. So yeah, he's definitely deeper because you know we need something to happen to him for him to really do something. Okay, Jared Goff has been slinging that rock. This last game, bro, week 2.
Yeah.
Okay, it was insane.
It was classic Lions.
5 touchdowns from Jared Goff. Like, if this guy can get a piece of that, you know, like God forbid anything happens to um Williams and Amon Ra,
Oh yeah.
but just saying, like this guy is talk about top tier handcuffs. You know,
He's right at the top.
he's right at the top, and I think they're gonna only use him more because of how consistent he's been, um, and just his big play catch ability. So, yeah, love
Dan
this guy.
Cam Yeah, I love him too. Dan Campbell's already talked about it. He's gonna play him more. He's gonna get him more
Mhm.
involved. I think as the season goes on, if everyone stays healthy in that offense, we could see him evolve into like what Jalen McMillan was last
Mm,
season.
yeah.
Maybe he's just a few catches a game, but big plays. You rely on him for touchdowns,
Yes.
and he's just this unbelievable red zone threat.
Mhm. It could be. Yeah, 100%. But definitely, you know, he's just not one of the immediate sleepers, you know.
Yeah.
You gotta take this with, and look at it kind of in long-term ability,
Mm.
um, you know. But, you know, definitely a guy to watch, definitely a sleeper that's kind of been talked about, and I think will only become more talked about as the season goes on.
Are you looking to upgrade your offense? Introducing the new Ford Tesla. At 6'4" and 210 pounds of a pure horsepower, this man can run up to speeds of over 20 miles an hour. The all
Really?
new Ford Tesla, built different.
That's crazy. Can he actually run 20 miles an
Can
hour?
I'm sure he can. Dude, he was a physical freak at the combine.
Yeah, he did
He
test
was
really
like
well.
in that upper like
Yeah, that's right. I remember
one
hearing that.
percentile of just physical athletic freaks.
Mhm.
But
Yeah,
yeah, if injuries end up happening, I think his production could be nuclear levels. But that's just me.
yeah. Yeah,
All
well, we'll
right.
see. We'll see.
We'll see. He'll get a lot of chances in that high powered offense. This is probably the most interesting sleeper we have on here. We're going to go quarterback for this one. Jake Browning.
Mhm.
We're going to usually we wouldn't probably have talked about this guy at all, but I assume you might know the news. A lot of people have heard Joe Burrow got bad turf toe. And to call it turf toe might be an understatement. They described it as violent, as brutal. He might need surgery on that toe. If he does, then they are expecting the timeline for him to be out up to 3 months.
Yeah. Yeah, if he needs surgery on the toe, which he might, or no, it's if the injury is as bad as they're thinking it could be, he will need surgery is what I've
Yeah,
heard.
it's
So
still up in the air.
yeah, it's still up in the air. So we're waiting on, the news for that. But until then, I think it's safe to say that Jake Browning is an interesting guy, to say the least. Um, Coming into one of the most high-powered, you know, passing offenses in the league with top weapons. He actually stepped in last year, right, Kyle? Or not
It
last year,
it
actually,
was
2 years ago.
2023. He stepped
Yeah.
in for second half of the year,
Mhm.
played about 9 games.
Yep. And he did pretty well. I mean, for a backup, I think he's one of the more top-tier backups, um, that that's around the NFL, and I I I just think if you're in a super flex, I know it's hard to get quarterbacks, right? Especially, um, it really depends on how deep your league is and what your quarterback situation looks like. But this is a guy that will, pretty much 100% almost be on the waiver wire,
Yeah.
um, and could easily, step in for any of you who obviously have Joe Burrow or need an extra quarterback just in case you're struggling with guys that are not doing so well. So yeah, that's what we're kind of talking about.
And this is just on the surface right now. I think there's room for like a lot of deeper discussions. First of all, if you notice on the graphic, it's the only one where I have in brackets sleeper rather than ESPN. Because in ESPN, he's under 1%. He's almost nobody has Jake Browning drafted in ESPN leagues, even in sleeper, 16%. So in a lot of dynasty leagues, in superflex leagues, he's going to be a highly sought after commodity this week. But even outside of that, even in redrafts, he is a guy to keep your eye on. I think it's more interesting though that the team's a little different than it was 2 years ago. The defense is worse.
Mhm.
The defense is worse. And we have some film to go off of. We have games to go off of where this can affect multiple different players. Jamar Chase is going to be fine because he's Jamar Chase. T. Higgins. The last time they played, I remember T. Higgins was having a down year.
Mm.
That he didn't target him as much. He was more super targeting Jamar Chase.
Mhm.
So I worry a little bit if I'm a T. Higgins owner.
Yeah,
As a Chase Browns owner, there's a little bit of worry as well. Now that the pass offense isn't as strong as it used to be, because as good as Jake Browning can be, it's still a massive downgrade overall from Joe Burrow.
sure.
So I
Yeah,
think there is room for like a little bit of concern depending on how you're looking at it.
definitely. But as far as as far as needing a backup quarterback or getting someone to fill in for a quarterback that's struggling, I think I just know that I'm personally in some super flex leagues where you can't really get a quarterback.
Yeah,
Like
it's not
you kind of
possible.
yeah, they're like stocked up on, and you need something like this to happen to something that like happened to Joe Burrow, an injury to happen to a quarterback, in order to get a backup. And having a backup step in long term, like up to 3 months, is just it doesn't normally happen. So I think that if that were the case, um, why not take a risk on this guy? His
Yeah,
production in the past has shown that he's done well. So I think I think it's just as simple as that, you know,
I think I'll only
in
say
some
one more
leagues.
thing on this, just to get through it. The only difference between this situation and when he played 2 years ago was he came in the second half of the season after the team was like 500 in terms of wins and losses, and they were a team that still thought, okay, we could still make it. We could still make it to the playoffs. If this is a team that sees Joe Burrow could be out for the whole year, if he could be out the entire season and they don't know what's going to happen,
Mhm.
do you think there's any chance this team could look to possible other options to bring in to challenge against Jake Browning? Like, say, if they wanted to trade for a Kirk Cousins.
I mean, potentially, but I think I'm higher on Jake Browning in the fact that he could stay that guy just because of how long they've had him on the
Yeah.
team. Usually backups don't stay, I feel like, as long as Jake Browning. Like, I feel like he's proved himself enough when they needed him a couple years ago, and he stepped in and he did well enough to stay a full year last year without really going in at all. And he's here this year, so I don't know if they'd really need him. And I think that if he produces, which he did this last game, he filled in and did pretty well, in Joe Burrow's absence. Um, and I don't think there'd really be a need, to get someone else if
Yeah.
he's stepping up. If he's not, I think that's a bigger discussion. But it's always possible. But I don't see why if he's stepping up, and it looks to me like he could be good for the team. So
I think so. It's definitely a wait and see,
mhm.
but I'll keep higher expectations for him. Again, sleeper dynasties, go get him.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do just that. We're gonna move on here. Here comes another receiver, and I've made fun of this guy quite a bit. So to have him on this feels a little embarrassing. This is Wan'Dale Robinson, a guy that I have said is anti-yak, anti-yards after contact, and he showed me because he came out in week 2, guns ablazing. He had
Dang.
8 catches, 140 yards, a touchdown. He looked great in that game,
Yeah.
undoubtedly. But I mean, to be
Yeah.
honest, everybody looked great in that game. That was an epic shootout of a game where Russell Wilson
Mhm.
maybe had one of the best games of his career. Like, he looked unbelievable.
He did look really, really well. Yeah. Um, yeah, I think it's interesting with Wandale, right? Just because every year, yeah, he's kind of been talked about, right? Like, oh, Wandale could step it up. Like, they don't have anyone really in their number 2 spot. It's gonna be Wandale, right? And and this is every year since he's been in, and every year since 2022, he has not really done much, basically.
Yeah.
And so I think it's just exciting to see that on in the last 2 games, you know, of this season, he's gotten at least 8 targets a game. Okay, he had 8 targets
Yeah.
on 6 receptions. Game 1, 8 targets, no, 10 targets on 8 receptions this last game. I mean, those are primetime numbers, bro.
Yeah.
And I kind of thought it was a fluke, to be honest, after the first game. And someone picked him up in one of my leagues on the waiver wire, deeper dynasty league, and I was like, okay, well, this is just Wandale, right? Surely he's not going to reproduce what he did this last game, and he did. And he looks good, though. That's the thing. Like, he got 142 yards this game,
It
this
was a
last
lot of
game.
yards. It was a
So,
lot of yards.
yeah. And I don't know, man. I think like this could be his year. Let's put aside Darius Slay, man. Honestly, that guy, let's be real. That dude's
Hey
not that
man,
good.
get your money, man. Get your money.
Wandale.
That 3-year deal he signed, dude. I will never go after him for getting his money.
Yeah, Darius Slay. I mean, you got to respect it, but honestly, like Wan'Dale's a great slot, bro. He's just a really good receiver. So I'm excited that they're actually using him. And it's not that he's done bad over the years. It's just that they have not used him, right? And this is an
I
era with Russell Wilson. I think he's a better quarterback than Daniel Jones. So, um, yeah. What were you gonna say?
which is funny because Daniel Jones has actually been balling out himself the last couple of weeks, doing all right for himself. But with Wan'Dale Robinson, this is what keeps not keeps me up at night. I'm not that invested in Wan'Dale, but it keeps me so interested in thinking about him because the last couple of years, I actually disagree. I do think he's had opportunity.
Hmm.
And I think last season especially, I remember watching him closely and seeing he did have many games with a lot of targets. There's
Yeah.
a there's
No,
a
he did.
reason we
He
have him
did.
in sleeper category rather than a breakout category.
Hmm.
Because so far from what we've seen, I thought I had a pretty good idea of what he is after 2 seasons, and I still haven't fully turned a corner on that yet. So I'm treating this as more of an outlier for right now. That's why he's a sleeper to me because okay, it's there. You can clearly see he gets the targets, he gets
Yeah.
the receptions. I think now I just need to see it again. It doesn't even need to be next week, but I need to see it sometime in the next few games. I want to see a bit more consistency in terms of big plays and big chunk yardage, because that's the big thing that was holding him back. And I think if he can fix that, then yeah, he can be actually a really good receiver.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. He did actually have a fair amount of targets last season, and I don't know why I guess I kind of forgot about him because he was I mean, he's no one really started Wan'Dale Robinson, right? He was
Hey
always
man,
kind of a bench.
hey man, it's easy to forget Wan'Dale Robinson until it happens.
Yeah. No, but it's that big playability. Like you're saying, like he barely had any touchdowns last year, right? And I think that um right, he had one last game, but yeah, I think it's the consistency he needs to keep that up. And if he keeps getting the ball as many targets as he's gotten the last 2 games, then he could really be um an interesting option, potentially starting option in your lineup, you know?
Yeah. It
So,
we'll
yeah.
have to see over time. He's got a couple tough matchups here. Later down the road in the season, I think there's a good chance we can revisit this and see where he goes from here.
Mhm.
And we're moving on to our last sleeper today that we have. We're going tight end. There have been a lot of good tight ends that have been showing up the last couple of weeks, but I still feel like this guy doesn't get enough respect or enough talk. This is
Yeah.
Jatavian Sanders. Mr. Jatavian Sanders, he was a second round pick in last year's draft. Every time when they talk about the weapons for Bryce Young or, oh, who's his big receiver? Who's his second receiver? Who's his slot guy? It's like, hey, man, Jatavian Sanders is right there. He gets more targets and more catches than people give him credit for. I think he was building something a little bit last season, but then he suffered a bit of a neck injury
Mhm.
and it kept him out for a few games. And I think it burned any sort of chances of people talking about him. But now we're coming into a second year. There's no Adam Thielen, still no Jalen Coker. Uh, with a team that's going to be forced to pass the ball a lot in a lot of games because of how atrocious their defense is, I think he's an interesting option worth looking into and considering for both redraft and sleeper leagues.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's definitely flying under the radar. Um, and can prove to be, I mean, one of the top options on this Panthers offense,
Yeah.
right? With the guys that have left, Adam Thielen and um, you know, there's another guy that left. What's his name?
Dude, it was there was no one else that left. It
Or
was
no,
Jalen Coker.
Jalen Coker got injured. Yeah.
He got injured. And I mean, then you have Xavier Legette, who is not looking good
Hasn't really
right now at all.
Mm-hmm. So I think, yeah, Jatavion, he is a he's a receiving tight end. Like that's the whole role he played in college on Texas. Not really much of a blocking guy, just kind of an extra weapon. And that's how he's always been used. So that I think that he's definitely a guy that people should consider if he's on the waiver wire. And going into year 2, it could be better for him. And he's getting targets. Week 2, we got 7 of 9 targets, right? So 9 targets is a lot for a tight end, man.
Yeah,
It just is.
it
It
is.
is. People
It
don't
is.
use tight ends generally like that across the NFL. So if you find one that can get that usage, so you kind of have to grab him, and I would take a chance on him.
He's definitely a guy worth taking a chance on. If you don't have a backup tight end, or you're kind of trying out a few guys because maybe you had George Kittle and you lost him for a few weeks, or you made some plays in week 1 for some tight ends that didn't exactly work out and you're still looking, keep him around as a possible option. He's more of like a desperation start if you're in need of it, but he should be a very solid tight end 2 on your bench lineup.
Yeah. Definitely agree. A good stash if you have the roster space.
Yeah, and Bryce Young, he's gonna need that help because it's been rough sailing these first couple games.
Yeah.
But there we go. That's gonna about do it for our sleepers for this episode. We're going into week 2, so I guess I'll very quickly mention just a couple of little waiver wire guys. We already mentioned a few of them. You're gonna see guys like Troy Franklin and Bhayshul Tuten, Wan'Dale Robinson. They'll be pretty obvious ones. I guess the only name I want to throw out there is Daniel Jones. Hey, man. I've been making fun of you a lot. And I'm sorry. I did not know your game, sir. Good sir. He's been very good the last couple of weeks, even against tough defenses. So when he's going up against the Titans this week, if you're in need of a backup quarterback or need a risky start, I can't believe I'm saying this, try out Daniel Jones.
Yeah. It's an interesting time we're living in. I'll just say that.
The 2-0 Colts is not something I had on my bingo card.
No, I know. And against good teams, man, like
Yeah.
it was just kind of crazy watching that Broncos Giants game. Like I don't know. I'm not going to call myself a Daniel Jones fan, but I mean,
I think respect where respect is due.
yeah, obviously. And I think it just goes to show that people were like, how can you be going with Daniel Jones over over our guy
Anthony Richardson?
Anthony Richardson.
Yeah.
And well, I mean, come on, guys. You could see it now. Like the vision is there.
Dude, the vision is there. That's just what happens sometimes.
It is. It is. It could be a ton of different things that, that allow this to happen. But obviously, it looks like he's on a team that fits him well. And hopefully he continues to do well. If you could pick him up and he could be honestly, a top backup or even starter, depending on who you have, which is just crazy. But
yeah,
it is only week 2. So all of these guys that we mentioned, I think it's fair to say that take it with a grain of salt. But also, this is fantasy football.
This is fantasy football. You got
Like
to
half of
react
the
now.
fun. No, literally, half of the fun is in sleepers. That's what I think. I think that's what we think, right, Kyle? You gotta
No,
look out for these guys.
it's just as much fun to bust on a sleeper than it is to succeed on one, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we're going to get plenty of that throughout the season. But thank you so much for everybody that watched this episode all the way through. You can follow us on Instagram, bam, Twitter, bam, TikTok, bam, Twitter/X, I meant. You can listen to us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And we are about to end here. Remember, everybody, in a complex world, just stay simple. Good night.